We're on lesson 6, and this is a tricky lesson, so pay close attention. Now, we talked about how there's 12 hours on a clock. So it's 11 o'clock right now. The hour hand's pointing to the 11 o'clock hour, and the minute hand's straight up, which means it's 11 o'clock, we're starting over. And as we go around and review, we're going to go a quarter after, 5, 10, 15 minutes is in a quarter after 11, and then we're going to go half past 11, which is 11:30, and half an hour past. And then we're going to do 11:45, which is a quarter to the next hour, which is 12. Now we're going to talk about something called AM and PM. Now, we said that there's 12 hours on a clock. There's 12 digits on a clock. There's 12 hours on a clock. There's 24 hours in a day, which means this hour hand has to go all the way around this clock twice to be a full day. Twice to be a full day. Now, the way they split that up is by AM and by PM. Now, AM, and it's always 12 o'clock straight up. When it's 12 o'clock straight up, it's either midnight, have you guys heard that before? Midnight, or noon. Have you heard that? Midnight or noon. So, if it's midnight, let's think about that. Most of you guys at midnight, you're sleeping, you're in your bed, it's dark outside. It's midnight. That's the start of AM, midnight. So when it gets to be 1 a.m., are you sleeping or are you awake? 1 a.m., it's dark. And I'm going to show you this clock. I love this clock because it has the AM and PM, and it has it all the way around into one huge clock. If you're thinking about 1 a.m., if you look, you're right after midnight, the hour after midnight. It's still pretty dark outside. You're sleeping. We go on to the next hour, 2 a.m. You're still sleeping. It's dark outside. 3 a.m., same thing. 4 a.m., it's still dark. 5 a.m., depending on the time of the year, it's starting to get lighter. 6 a.m., I'm sure your mom and dad are probably getting up. You might be getting up too. It is, depending on the time of the year, it is definitely light out at 6 a.m. 7 a.m., you should definitely be getting up because school starts at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m., the sun is shining, the birds are singing, you're probably eating breakfast. Right now during distance learning time, hope you might still be in your PJs. Maybe you're not, but you should be up and out of bed at 8 a.m. Now, if this was a normal school day at 9 a.m., we would be doing some reading or writing lessons. It would be light out. You would definitely be in school. It's 9 a.m. You're not sleeping. So in the a.m., it's not all sleep. If you noticed in both the a.m. and p.m., there's sleep in both of those. So you're sleeping until it gets morning out, and we're at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., you guys would still be in school. If it was regular, we'd be looking at going to recess soon. 11 a.m., we'd be doing math. We'd be learning about a.m., p.m. But when it became 12 o'clock, it's now noon. At noon, we switched from a.m. to p.m. And during p.m., let's see, 12 o'clock noon, you guys would be eating lunch right now and getting ready to go to recess after you ate your lunch. It's still light outside. It's noon, but it's 12 p.m. As we go on, at 1 p.m., we would be finishing up our recess if it was a regular day. We might be going to PE or doing something else in the classroom like library. 2 p.m., we would be getting ready to go home. It's still light outside, but it's afternoon. It's afternoon. It's a time after the noon time. 3 p.m., you would be at home. You might be doing homework. 4 p.m., you might be going to practice, baseball practice. You might be going to dance, piano lessons. 5 p.m., you'd be finishing up that practice. 6 p.m., you probably might be sitting down for dinner at 6 p.m. It's still light outside depending on the time of year, but you're eating your dinner. 7 p.m., you might be getting ready for bed, watching a movie, reading a book. 8 p.m., it's now dark outside at 8 p.m. You should be getting ready for bed, brushing your teeth, getting in bed. 9 p.m., it's dark out. You'd be asleep. 10 p.m., you would be definitely asleep. 11 p.m., it's really dark outside. You're in bed, cozied up and asleep. And we come to 12. Is it 12 p.m.? No, it's not. We turn to a.m. now. It's midnight a.m. So there's 2 times in the day. There's a.m., dark and light, and then there's p.m., light and dark. So this lesson is having to do with a.m., p.m. It could be a little tricky, so really think about this. Now, you're going to look at the time there, or what it says, the activity. And it says art class. So think about it logically. We're going to write down the time. Let me get my pen. The hour hand is pointing to the 10, so we're going to put 10 down in the hour spot. Hold on for my board. And it's straight up on the 12th, so that would be 00. That's 10 o'clock. But now we need to think. We need to think back. At 10, what would we be doing? Art class. Would we be doing it at 10 p.m., where it's first light, then dark, or 10 a.m.? You're right if you said 10 a.m. It's light then. 10 p.m., it's dark and you're in bed. The next one, we have the hour hand between the 8 and the 9. It's still the 8 o'clock hour. So we're going to put 8 right here because it's still the 8 o'clock hour zone. And the minute hand's on the 6. Oh yes, I remember. That's half an hour. That's 30 minutes. 8:30. But now we need to think. When are we going to bed? Are we going to bed at 8:30 a.m. or 8:30 p.m.? Remember, 8 a.m. starts at midnight. p.m. starts at noon. So if it was 8:30 a.m., it's after midnight. So let's see, 1 a.m.'s dark, 2 a.m., 3, 4, 5. Oh yes, I get